You're driving home. Traffic's flowing. You're doing 70 in a 65 just like everyone else. Red and blue lights flash behind you. You pull over, confused. The officer says, "Do you know why I stopped you?" And you have no idea. Every day, thousands of drivers make one costly mistake. They become visible to law enforcement. Meanwhile, other drivers cruise right past the same officer. After analyzing over 300 traffic stops, I've identified exactly what makes certain vehicles invisible to cops, while others get pulled over constantly. I'll show you 5 things that keep you off their radar. This is educational content only. For legal advice, consult an attorney in your state. Thing number 1. Vehicle equipment violations. The mistake is driving with any visible equipment violation, no matter how minor. Picture this. You're on the highway doing the speed limit. Perfect driver. Clean record. But your right tail light is out. You pass a state trooper. 2 miles later, lights. You're thinking, I wasn't speeding. What did I do? That tail light is probable cause. Under Terry v. Ohio, an officer needs only reasonable suspicion to stop you. Equipment violations provide that instantly. Why do people do it? They think it's not serious. It's just a tail light. They'll fix it later. Meanwhile, they're driving a probable cause generator. Here's the reality. Once stopped for that bulb, the officer can observe everything in plain view. Ask questions. Request to search. While you're searching for documents, he's looking inside your car, watching your movements, investigating. Traffic training teaches cops to look for equipment violations because they're objective. Either the light works or it doesn't. These stops survive court challenges every time. The correct move. Walk around your vehicle once a week. Check every light. Headlights, taillights, brake lights, turn signals, license plate light. Check your windshield for cracks. If something's broken, fix it immediately. Why this works. When your vehicle has 0 equipment violations, officers have no objective reason to stop you. No violation equals no stop. Bottom line, a vehicle with working lights and proper equipment is legally invisible for pretextual stops. That protects your Fourth Amendment rights. But equipment compliance is only half the shield. Officers are also trained to spot probable cause through driving patterns. And mistake number 2 is exactly where drivers create that opening. Thing number 2. Driving patterns that draw attention. The mistake is driving in ways that create reasonable suspicion of impairment or criminal activity. Picture this. It's late, you're tired. You drift over the lane marker, correct back, drift again. You're not drunk, just exhausted. But to the officer behind you, those deviations look identical to impaired driving. He hits the lights. During the stop, he asks where you're coming from. He's watching your eyes, smelling your breath, all because your tired driving created reasonable suspicion. Why do people do it? They don't realize how closely officers watch driving patterns. Minor weaving seems normal, but to trained officers, these patterns trigger investigation. The reality. Courts hold that erratic driving creates reasonable suspicion even without a specific violation. Weaving within your lane, driving 10 under, sudden braking. All can justify a stop under State versus Stiles. Body cams capture your driving from behind for 30 seconds before the stop. That footage shows your lane position, speed, brake patterns. If your driving looks erratic, you've created probable cause. Police training teaches patterns associated with DUI, drug trafficking, stolen vehicles. Weaving equals intoxication. Driving too slow equals concealment. Nervous mirror checking equals counter surveillance. The correct move. Drive smoothly within the center of your lane. Maintain consistent speed matching traffic flow without exceeding limits. Use cruise control on highways. Signal every lane change 100 feet in advance. When an officer pulls up behind you, don't panic. Don't tap brakes. Don't check mirrors constantly. Continue driving normally. Your calm, consistent pattern gives them nothing to articulate. Wrong way you see a cop, immediately slow from 70 to 62. Check your mirror 4 times in 10 seconds. Drift right, overcorrect left. Right way, you maintain 65, stay centered, check mirrors normally. Drive like he's not there. Why this works? Smooth, predictable driving creates no articulable suspicion. Your goal is to be so unremarkable they have nothing to write in their report. Bottom line, invisible drivers drive predictably within traffic flow with no erratic patterns. You've eliminated equipment, probable cause, and driving pattern suspicion. But there's a third category that gives officers instant justification. Rodriguez versus United States established time limits on stops, but officers never reach that analysis if they spot this next violation from 100 feet away. Thing number 3, license plate visibility and compliance. The mistake is any issue with license plate display, visibility, or compliance. Picture this. You bought a decorative frame at the dealership. Looks great, but it covers 1/4 inch of the word California at the top of your plate. You pass highway patrol. 60 seconds later, lights. The officer says, "Your license plate frame is obstructing state identification. That's a vehicle code violation." You're thinking it's barely covering anything, doesn't matter. He has probable cause. Why do people do it? Drivers customize plates without checking state law. They add frames, covers, decorative elements. They don't realize every state has specific requirements for how plates must be displayed. Here's the legal reality. California Vehicle Code. Section 5201 requires plates mounted securely, clearly visible, characters legible from 50 feet. Covers that obscure any part violate this code. Texas requires front and rear plates, both horizontal and unobstructed. These aren't suggestions. They're enforceable laws, creating instant probable cause. State versus Marrero in Arizona upheld stops based solely on perceived violations, even when the officer's understanding wasn't entirely accurate. The court ruled that as long as there's objective basis for suspicion, the stop is justified. The evidence problem is clear. Plate violations photograph easily. Body cams capture them from 30 feet back during approach. The video shows exactly what justified the stop. Officer psychology matters. License plate violations are taught as ideal pretextual stop foundations because they're objective and visible from distance. An officer can identify the violation while still in his patrol car, giving him time to run the plate, check for warrants, decide whether to stop you. The correct move is this. Your plates must comply with every requirement in your state's vehicle code, front and rear if required, mounted within specified height ranges, completely visible with no obstructions, no tinted covers, no frames that obscure any text including county names, state names, or registration stickers. If you have a decorative frame, measure it. The frame cannot cover any letters, numbers, or state identification. If it does, remove it. If you have a license plate cover, even clear, check your state law. Many states ban all covers regardless of transparency. Why does this work? License plate compliance is visible from 100 feet back. When an officer runs your plate or inspects it visually, compliant plates give him no violation to articulate. Bottom line, PRINTABLE. Proper plate display eliminates one of the most common pretextual stop justifications. That's 3 categories of Fourth Amendment protection through vehicle compliance and driving patterns. But there's another factor courts rarely discuss in published opinions, yet it's taught extensively in police academies. Warren versus United States held that officer motivation doesn't matter as long as probable cause exists. But what if you never create probable cause by understanding where police deploy resources? Thing number 4, traffic flow positioning. The mistake is positioning yourself as the most visible violator in a group. Picture this. You're on the highway. Posted limit 65. Traffic flowing at 73. You're in the left lane passing everyone. The fastest car on the road. A trooper, monitoring from an overpass with radar, sees 6 vehicles, all speeding. He picks you. Why? You're the lead vehicle, most visible, easiest target. After the stop, you argue everyone was speeding. The officer responds, I observed your vehicle traveling at the highest speed. You created selection criteria that made you the obvious target. Why do people do it? They think if everyone's speeding, they're safe in the crowd. They position at the front thinking they'll reach their destination faster. They don't understand police selection methodology. Here's the legal reality. Officers can only stop one vehicle at a time. When multiple vehicles violate simultaneously, they select based on visibility, speed differential, tactical positioning. Courts consistently hold that other people also speeding is not a defense. The stop is valid as long as you committed the violation. The evidence problem is documented. Radar records lock in exact speed. Video shows your position relative to traffic. The evidence proves you were the fastest, most visible vehicle in the enforcement zone. Officer psychology is tactical. Police training teaches traffic positioning strategy. Officers park where they can observe multiple lanes. They use radar to identify fastest vehicles. They select targets based on which vehicle is easiest to pursue safely, which presents clearest violation, which is most visible. Highway patrol training specifically covers the lead vehicle principle. The vehicle at the front of a speeding group is almost always the enforcement target because it's cleanest to document and safest to pursue. The correct move is positioning strategy. Stay in the right lane unless actively passing. When you pass, return right immediately. Match the speed of traffic flow without being the fastest vehicle visible. Position yourself in the middle of any group. Never at the front, never isolated. If everyone's going 5 over, stay with the pack but don't lead it. Let someone else be the most visible violation. Here's the contrast. Wrong way? You're in left lane passing everyone 10 miles per hour faster than traffic flow, clearly the lead vehicle. The officer marks you as primary target before you even see him. Right way, you're in right or center lane, matching traffic speed, surrounded by other vehicles, not distinguishable as fastest or most aggressive. The officer sees no clear enforcement priority. Why does this work? Officers have limited time and resources. They select targets based on visibility and violation severity. When you're positioned in middle of traffic flow, not exceeding others' speed, not in high visibility positions, you don't meet their selection criteria. Bottom line, blend into traffic flow positioning rather than leading it, and you select yourself out of enforcement priority. This is about understanding enforcement methodology. The legal principle is simple. Match traffic flow without being the visible outlier. But there's one final factor that separates invisible drivers from those who get stopped repeatedly. Thing number 5, vehicle appearance and maintenance. The mistake is driving a vehicle that signals investigate me through its appearance. Picture this. Your car is functional, but obviously neglected. Dirty, oxidized paint, dented bumper, temporary registration taped in window, air fresheners hanging from mirror. You pass an officer on patrol. He notices the appearance, runs your plate, discovers expired registration from 2 months ago. He initiates the stop. You think, how did he even know? Your vehicle's appearance created investigative interest. The expired registration gave him legal cause. Why do people do it? Drivers focus on whether their car runs, not how it looks to law enforcement. They don't connect appearance to stop probability. They think cleanliness is aesthetic preference. But to officers trained to spot indicators of criminal activity, neglected vehicles correlate with other compliance failures. Here's the legal reality. Officers cannot stop you solely because your car is dirty, but appearance creates interest that leads to closer inspection. During that inspection, they often find legitimate violations, expired registration, equipment failures, obscured plates. Research on pretextual stops shows officers use minor violations as justification for investigatory stops. A 2023 California DOJ report found equipment violations and registration issues accounted for significant portions of pretextual stop justifications. These violations often come to light only because appearance triggered initial interest. The evidence problem is clear. Body cam shows what drew attention. The officer states, "I observed the vehicle appeared poorly maintained. Upon closer inspection, I noticed registration was expired. Appearance created interest. Violation created probable cause." Officer psychology includes pattern recognition. Police training covers vehicles associated with criminal activity, heavily modified vehicles, temporary tags, excessive bumper stickers, items hanging from mirrors. These aren't violations themselves, but they're taught as indicators meriting closer inspection. The logic is simple. Someone maintaining their vehicle properly is more likely to maintain registration, insurance, equipment compliance. Someone neglecting exterior may be neglecting legal compliance too. The correct move is maintenance. Keep your vehicle's exterior clean, wash it regularly. Remove items hanging from rearview mirror. They're actually illegal in many states and obstruct vision. Keep current registration displayed properly, not taped in window. Fix body damage when possible. Remove bumper stickers, especially anything controversial or attention-grabbing. Your goal is clean, well-maintained appearance that doesn't create investigative interest. The vehicle should look like it belongs to someone who handles their responsibilities. Why does this work? Officers make split-second decisions about which vehicles to investigate more closely. Clean, well-maintained vehicles suggest compliance. Neglected vehicles suggest potential violations worth investigating. When your vehicle doesn't signal investigative interest, officers allocate attention elsewhere. Bottom line, a well-maintained vehicle exterior reduces probability of becoming an investigatory target. Here's the core principle. Traffic stops require probable cause or reasonable suspicion. When your vehicle and driving create zero violations, zero suspicious patterns, zero investigative interest, officers have no legal justification to stop you. Remember the 4 phrases every driver needs memorized. Am I free to leave? I invoke my right to remain silent. I want a lawyer. I do not consent to searches. But the best protection is never getting stopped in the first place. Your practical next step. This weekend, inspect your vehicle. Every light, your plates, your registration display, your mirrors. Fix everything that's broken. Remove anything hanging from your rearview mirror. Wash your car. This isn't about vanity, it's about eliminating probable cause before it exists. Then practice your driving. Smooth lane changes, consistent speed, proper following distance. Position yourself in traffic flow rather than leading it. Drive like every officer is watching you, because with modern patrol car cameras and ALPR systems, they might be. These 5 things make you invisible to traffic enforcement. Code-compliant equipment, predictable driving patterns, proper license plate display, smart traffic positioning, maintained vehicle appearance. None of this is about evading the law. It's about understanding what creates probable cause and what doesn't. Remember, this is educational content only, not legal advice. Always consult with a qualified attorney in your state for your specific situation. If this helped you understand traffic stop triggers, give this video a like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Share this with anyone who drives. You just learned one critical constitutional protection, but there are other amendments and rights that work differently during traffic stops, and most people invoke them incorrectly. I break down those other legal protections in the next video. It's the rest of the legal framework you need to understand. Watch it right here on screen. The only winning traffic stop is the one that never happens. Stay invisible, stay legal, stay free.